As a parent, do you ever feel like all you're ever doing is correcting and disciplining your kids? Do you want to have more connection with them? Do you want to have just a better relationship with them? Today's class with Crystal Paine is all about love-centered parenting. She recently authored the book by the same name, and she's going to be sharing with us how we can have more connection and less correction in our relationships with our kids.
I never, ever thought that I would be writing a book that has parenting in the title. But I also never, ever envisioned that 4 years ago I would be walking into an emergency room and saying to the person at the desk, my child is suicidal. So much has changed in my heart and life in the last 4 years. And I want to share a little bit about that today. But first off, if you don't know who I am, I'm Crystal Paine. I'm the founder of MoneySavingMom.com. I am also mom to a 16-year-old, 13-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 10-month-old. And my husband and I are also foster parents, and we have been married for 18 years, and we live in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And since that day, 4 years ago, where we stepped into the emergency room and we brought our child who had been saying things that were suicidal there, so much has changed in my heart. And in this book, Love Centered Parenting, I get to share about my journey and share about how I learned what I was doing as a parent that actually wasn't helping at all when I thought it was the right thing. In fact, after we went to the emergency room and then we got in with a therapist, we had our initial meeting, and I remember sitting across the couch from this therapist, and she was saying, kind of telling us her protocol and all of that, and I just was in a desperate place. And I said to her, I don't care what it takes, whatever I can do, please let me know if there is anything that I can do to help my child. I just want to help my child. Well, my child started in on therapy, and within a few weeks, the therapist actually called me back in, and she said, I feel like you're trying so hard to fix your child. What would it look like to just walk alongside and love your child? Y'all, that convicted me to the core, and as I started paying attention over the next few weeks, I realized that anytime there was an issue, my kids were fighting, someone had talked back, someone was acting out, something had gone down at school, I would swoop in and I would try to fix. And I'm a problem solver, so I'm gonna come in and fix. And I was working so hard at correcting my kids, and I was spending very little time connecting with them. And I was like, where is this coming from? And in the process of writing my book, Love Centered Parenting, I was asking on my Instagram, I'm the Money Saving Mom on Instagram, and I asked on there, I said, fill in the blank. My job as a parent is to blank. I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses. And what was so interesting to me is that 98 to 99% of the responses are things that we don't have any control over as a parent. So many moms said, I want my kids to be kids who have strong character and who love Jesus and who are successful in life. That's a great ambition, but we ultimately don't have control over that. We can lead, we can nurture, we can set a great example, and we can provide a space for them to hopefully grow and flourish. But we can't control our kids' choices and behaviors. But you know what we can control? We can control our responses. As I always say to my kids, our response is our responsibility. And so at Love Centered Parenting, I give you 4 choices that I believe every parent should make. These are choices that are not dependent upon your child's choices or their behaviors. These are things that you can choose to do no matter what. Number 1, lean in and love. What does it look like to approach a situation when your child is struggling, when kids are fighting, when something's gone down at school, with this lean in and love mentality, with a posture of, I want to really come and sit with you Like the therapist said, what it would look like to, instead of trying to fix your child, to walk with them. So number one, approach with that posture of leaning in and loving. Secondly, listen well. You might feel like you don't have great communication with your kids, and I want to challenge you. Start paying attention. What are they interested in? What do they love? Pay attention to when they're getting triggered, their outburst. There's oftentimes so much underneath the surface. And what you see up here is just a little indication, but there's so much more. Listening well involves really paying attention to what our kids are actually saying through their actions and through their words. It's also preaching a lot fewer sermons and showing up and sitting with and asking questions and stepping into our kids' worlds and caring about what they care about. Number three, lead with humility. This is another choice that we can make no matter what our kids do. We can always choose to lead with humility, to set a great example for our kids. If we are telling our kids that we want them to keep their rooms clean and our room is a mess, what kind of example are we setting for our kids? Also, are we willing to own up to when we make mistakes? Are we going and asking our kids forgiveness if we have done something that could have been hurtful to them, or if we've responded in a way that really was not kind? Lead with humility. And finally, let go. This is one of the hardest ones to do as a parent. But if we never let our kids make mistakes, if we always just try to micromanage and bubble wrap and overprotect them, they're never going to grow backbone. They're never going to grow wings. They're never going to be able to fly because we've just stifled them and suffocated them because we were trying to protect them in a way that actually was setting them up to be dependent upon us instead of being able to go out as confident adults into the world. So the 4 choices: lean in and love, listen well, lead with humility, and let go. These 4 choices have completely transformed my parenting. It has de-escalated things so that I can parent from a place of peace and a place of joy and a place of freedom and rest. Instead of trying to constantly fix and micromanage my kids, I'm focusing on what I can do to step into their world, to sit with them, to love them, to lean in, to listen, and ultimately to be able to walk with them as a love-centered parent. It means I'm no longer parenting for my own reputation and what other people think of me, but I'm parenting for relationship. And I'm doing a whole lot less correcting and a lot more connecting. And by the way, it has completely changed our home, and that child who was at the emergency room, who we went through lots and lots of therapy with, they are a completely different child. In fact, just 2 days ago, my husband and I were saying, we don't even recognize that child anymore. So I just want to challenge you today. What would it look like for you to parent from a place of love, to be a love-centered parent, and to choose to lean in and love, to choose to listen well, to choose to lead with humility, and ultimately to choose to let go and not worry so much about the results, but about walking with our kids in love.
That was such a good class. Thank you so much to Crystal for sharing those insights with us. We are going to be going live with Crystal this Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and chatting a little bit more in depth about some of these topics. We'd love to hear from you what questions you may have. So feel free to leave them in the comments below, or you can always DM us if you want them to stay anonymous. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys all on Friday for that live. Have a great day, you guys.